But the Romeo Doubs situation, and Blue, I don't think you ever had any scenarios with teammates that have had – I've had guys get suspended and missed games, but not the way this shook out. Jason asked me, what if you're Romeo Doubs, and this is how it's played out. He's had the conversation with Matt LaFleur. What are you doing today if you're Romeo Doubs coming back into practice after the debacle that was last week?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you do that, I think in the offensive team meeting, you need to say something. I think you need to address, especially the offensive group, and kind of address about where you're at. Like, and you don't have to explain everything, because I think people have a good idea at this point why he didn't show up, right? I mean, I think it's been widely reported. Most of the guys know. I'm not sure what LaFleur told these guys in the team meeting or anything like that. I have no idea. But I think it'd be to address it. And I'm not saying, because, again, I don't know Romeo's side of the story. I have no idea. He hasn't spoken yet either. So, like, I don't understand. I don't know his side. And I don't know if he feels like he should apologize to his teammates or not. But I know I would, because, like, I would think of it as, like, I decided that my personal issues are bigger than this team, so I'm going to stay home. And you kind of let that go through, and you get into this week and you're back. I'd apologize to those guys, to make the guys that I play with every down, make them know that, like, I'm all in with you guys. Like, I apologize for what I did last week. That's not – I know how it came off. That wasn't – I didn't want it to be that way, but that's how it looks. So I'm coming in here and I'm apologizing for what happened. I'm all about you guys. I'm all about the team. Like, I'm in here to help this team win, and that's where I'm at. And then I would say, like, if any guys, don't feel comfortable asking a question, please feel free to come and talk to me, and we can address it, person to person. So there's no, I guess, rumor mill starting, right? Like, you want to address it head on, and that would be the way I would go about it. And I think guys would respect that a lot. Like, I know I would, right? Like, if someone did that, and then the next week they come back in the offensive meeting room and they address the offense at the minimum, and they address it head on and take it head on, I would respect that a lot, because that would show, hey, he's standing up, he's manning up, he's right in front of us, he's telling us kind of what happened, and that he's moving on from it, and he apologizes. And to me, that would say a lot about him.
So will you trust him moving forward as a teammate, though?
It's going to take some time. Honestly, I think it's going to take some time. It's not going to be an immediate thing, because I guess for me personally, and I don't know him. So, like, I can't say that I know anything about him or how he works or anything like that. Like, I would always think early on, especially probably the first.
He's really an even-keeled guy.
I can't believe you waited that long to say that.
I'm trying to let Blue finish his sentence, Wilde. That's why.
Yeah, it would take me a little bit, because any little bit of, I guess, frustration or anything that he shows, I would think he could do this again. Like, when we need him in a big moment, maybe not show up to work, but in a game, just be like, I'm not gonna. I don't want to run this route, or I don't want to be the crack blocker on this. Like, that's not what I. That's so, like, you start to question, is he out there and doing what he needs to do 100%? I'm not saying that he is or isn't, but early on when he came back, that would be my concern as a teammate, especially a teammate that may not know him very well, but has just seen what he's done. It would concern me a bit. And I would expect people to feel the same about me if I did that, right? Like, I would expect people like, can we count on this guy? That would be something that would be a concern, right, you'd have to answer going forward.
And you got to prove it. Words aren't going to do it. I love the, address it. Make sure everybody knows you're remorseful. And you better be remorseful, right? There's not the case, this is how you feel the way you did. You made a mistake. And if you don't feel like you made a mistake, I don't know if I want to move forward with you.
Yeah, I listen, like, it's very – this team needs him, right? Like, that's why I'm confused on – that's why I'm confused on how he got to this point, because it's very clear that this offense and this team needs him. Right. So, like, that's why, like, a lot of this doesn't make sense. But, like, I don't think the coaches nor the guys on the team can express themselves anymore about how big of a part of this offense he is. Like, I don't know what else they can say or do Like, okay, he wanted 3 more targets over the first 4 games to prove that. Like, I just don't understand how he doesn't realize that he is either 1 or 2 on this offense receiver-wise, and he's going to be an integral part of it going forward. Like, so that's why, like, I don't know, like, what else a coach or a teammate can, like, say to him to make him feel more appreciated is what I'm saying. Like,
I almost wonder if Matt LaFleur shouldn't test him this week. Give him no targets and see how he operates.
He's the
how he
fourth
handles
read
it. Like,
on
I'm
every
being dead
play.
serious. You're in there. You got to go dig that safety out. You're doing this. And if Jordan gets you the ball, if you're third option, great. But I almost wonder if I'm not Matt LaFleur, you're saying all the right things. Are you going to live it? I'd be curious.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys this, because here I'm curious because you guys over 20 years combined in the league. Your time playing, I have no doubt that there were guys, and not just wide receivers, but a lot of times wide receivers, who were unhappy with their role, unhappy with their production, unhappy with their opportunities. I believe, and LaFleur was not willing to delve into his mentality, I believe this blindsided them, the coaching staff. I believe that maybe was maybe a little underpinning of him being a little bit unhappy, but there's no way they saw what happened coming. Now, my question for you is, if you were around teammates, not so much in the offensive line meeting room, because you guys would have gotten after each other and that you would have been merciless on anyone who had even come close to this behavior in the offense.
There is no doubt about that.
It'd be
Blue,
bad.
can you imagine somebody not showing up to a Thursday practice because they're not happy, they're not getting enough pass sets or run plays?
Oh, dude.
Like, it's so absurd to us.
It would never the guy that did it would never be lived down. It would be hard. It would be really hard for that guy to earn any trust in that room. It would be very,
100%.
very difficult. Like, I don't know how you win back the room after that. Like,
happen.
I don't know.
No, it wouldn't happen.
Like,
so, all right. So you don't have direct experience with a guy in your room doing this. So you can't necessarily speak to what the wide receivers will do. But generally speaking, you know you had guys who were unhappy. What did they do? Because the part of this, Brian, I would have thought the approach that I would have taken if I was Romeo, I would have talked to Steno and LaFleur. But I would have also talked to Love, who I work out with in the offseason, and said, man, I'm so frustrated. I don't understand. Like, what, why am I, like, when you saw guys unhappy, what is the quote-unquote normal way to handle it? Because this was not normal, to just not show up for work and have someone from the security staff, Doug Collins, come to make sure you're still alive and that you're at home. Yeah. Like, that's not normal. But there's got to be more guys than just him who've been disgruntled during your 20-plus years in the NFL. What did they do, and how was it resolved under more normal circumstances?
Yeah, and Tausch could obviously answer what went on with Favre and how it was dealt with Favre and everything like that. And listen, I've said it a bunch about this situation. Like, in my time in Green Bay and Tausch too, I was very fortunate to have stud wide receivers all the time. Like, guys that could have gone to another team and been a number 1 or a high end 2. Guys that if you got them the ball, they would make really good things happen with it. So there was always a situation where someone felt that, hey, maybe I could get the ball a little bit more, or I could be used in a certain way. And I think what guys always did, and because it never got around to the locker room that guys were really pissed off or something. Like, it never got to that point. Like, you can tell if a guy was, maybe a little unhappy by maybe he said something in the media, but it never showed on the practice field. Guys didn't go out there and do anything that would cause other people to think, does this guy care? I think a lot of things got hit head on because Aaron addressed it, right? Like, they went to Aaron, and Aaron then, who would do the game planning every week with McCarthy or with LaFleur, would go up and would either whether it was Joe Philbin or Tom Clemens, whoever the offensive coordinator was, or whoever, they'd go through this plan and try to figure out a way, maybe not to guarantee this player gets more looks or reps or whatever it may be, but just to make them feel more involved in some way, shape, or form. And obviously these things have to be earned, right? Like you just don't give books and more opportunities because they're unhappy. Like those things are earned. And Romeo Doubs had that credit to him going into this situation. He could have handled that way. And people would respect, like, you know what, Romeo, you're right. Like, we do got to get you the ball more. We do have to look your way more and get you involved in certain route patterns and combinations. And, yeah, we agree with you. Like, and, you know, LaFleur would have said, obviously, which every one of us has said, we've kind of gone through the season. The season's been a little bit different. We didn't have Jordan for 2 weeks. This game plan was not based around the wide receivers. This was based around the offensive line and the run game. Things are going to pick up. I assure you, they're going to pick up. And Romeo could have gone about it that way, and this would have never happened. Like, no issue, right? It would have never became a story. But to just not show up is something that I could never imagine Cobby doing, James Jones, Jennings, Jordy, Devontae, like all these guys that were stud wide receivers. I could just never see that happening because they were unhappy with their role, right? Like, and I think a lot of people could, like, I don't know, I'm just speaking over the last few years. I think a lot of people would understand, like, if Watson was unhappy with something, but that guy literally shows up. He says the right things. He does his job. He may not get all the targets, but he works his butt off, is at least what it appears. He does what he's asked on the field, and when he gets his opportunities, he makes the most out of them. Like, if there was going to be someone that you would say would be unhappy, you would think it would be him,
right?
And not Romeo. But, like, well, yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. I'm not going to speak on anything of that nature. Like, I don't know anything about that. But, like, so
that'll be in Sunday's paper. That's the Sunday article this week from Jason.
I don't know anything about that. I'm just saying,
no, I think you made a good point, and I totally agree with. And my question to Romeo is, before you didn't come to work on Thursday, did you talk to LaFleur? Did you talk to Jason Vrabel? Did you talk to Jordan Love? And he may not answer. But to me, this was preventable. And you just made an outstanding point of, I think the guys around him would have said, hey, you're right. We need to get you the ball more. We want you to be more involved than you have been. Understand that, Malik threw 33 passes. And, oh, by the way, in the Colts game, you were the leading receiver. You had a huge catch in that game. And we were playing with a guy that we didn't trust to throw more than 16 passes in a game. So, hey, just be patient. You're a key, integral part of what we do here. It's going to be okay. So that's the part that I want to know is, did you seek anyone out, or did you just sort of react the way you did without really thinking it through?